Well, hi everyone. I'm John Ritland, back with a review of two Netflix original movies that I just saw, What Happened to Monday and System Crasher. One is taking place in the future, and the other is a German drama about the foster care system and a particular young girl. And I will say that one of these was definitely better than the other. And if you know anything about me and any of my movie tastes, you probably can figure out which one I enjoyed more. But like any of my multi-movie reviews, there's going to be spoilers throughout. So both these movies are worth checking out, but you will likely enjoy one much more than the others, though that does depend on how you feel about foreign movies. So there's going to be spoilers from here on out. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, and go. What Happened to Monday? From the same guy that gave us Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, which I happen to enjoy. It was not great by any means at all, but I enjoyed it because it was stupid, dumb fun. And this takes place in a not too distant future, next Sunday AD. There was not a guy named Joel. There's, population control that needs to be, it needs to be implemented because the human population has gotten out of control. It's like, near 10 billion people. The resources, the food, everything, genetic engineering for food is running rampant. And there is a woman named Nicolette, played by Glenn Close, who is in a powerful position in government and implements the one child per household policy. Any children that are born, any households that have multiple children are deemed basically like, unlawful, and said children are basically taken away and put in cryosleep. And I put cryosleep in the biggest quotations possible because, well, that doesn't end up actually happening. We find that out a little bit later. You have Terrence, played by Willem Dafoe, who his daughter has 7 kids. So he decides to name them after each day of the week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and so on into infinity. So you can obviously figure out what happened to Monday, what the title is. Oh no, something happened to the kid Monday. And they're all played by Noomi Rapace, and I'm sorry if I mispronounce her name. I actually enjoy her in quite a few movies. She was good in Prometheus, though admittedly Prometheus wasn't all that good. At least she was. She's been in quite a bit of good stuff. She's a pretty good actress. And Willem Dafoe's character is trying to keep them all safe and basically says, okay, you are 7 individuals in this household, but when you leave, and we see a lot of flashbacks of when they were kids, since it's in the future, they have this futuristic stuff where days can be recorded and they watch these videos and figure out, okay, we are 7, but we have to live as 1 because otherwise we're going to be taken away. Well, then things go inevitably sideways when Monday goes missing. Well, why does she go missing? This does not compute. Well, all the other sisters try to find that out, and it turns out that these government agents were tipped off, and they start picking them off one by one, and there's a lot of blood and action scenes and chase scenes and stuff like that and everything, and it's not very interesting at all. The concept is fine, but the problem is they did it with 7 kids so they could just pad this movie out endlessly. This movie would have been fine at about an hour and 40 minutes, maybe even an hour and 30 minutes, because there isn't a lot of depth to this plot, despite what they try to say. It's very futuristic with all its speak and stuff like that, and its technology, stuff in the, wristbands and stuff like that get checked in, and cool technological stuff, but it was low budget under the guise of trying to be big budget, and it just ultimately didn't work. It felt very padded. By the time you got to where like the 3rd sister was picked off, it's like, okay, bored now, very, very bored. It turns out that Monday had betrayed her family, and she ends up getting killed, and because Glenn Close's character gets caught because, oh yeah, it's not cryosleep these kids are going to, they're getting incinerated and destroyed as a form of population control, and now the one child per household policy has been, lifted. So there we go. That's it. And the world's just going to end because essentially humanity's just going to keep reproducing until the planet just gives up, which seems like it's going to go that route. But yeah, it's not very good. Bored. Going to talk about System Crasher, a German, foster care system drama that is quite good, that I rather enjoyed. This was something where it's not an easy movie to get into. It depends on your opinion on foreign movies. It really does. I'm also not going to attempt to pronounce any of the actors' names because I'm just going to fucking screw it up. I'm I'm just not going to be able to do it for Zigloria Zikaiza. I'm just not going to be able to. So we focus on a young 9-year-old girl named Benny, who has a lot of issues, a lot of aggression, she likes having things her way. I mean, what kid doesn't? But she's much more aggressive again in fights and stuff like that, and tends to just be, some would say greedy. Some would say, she's being too goddamn self-centered and stuff like that. But every kid wants to be the center of attention. A lot of kids do. That's their brains aren't fully developed. We figure out later why Benny has been passed from foster home to foster home, is in the care of a certain clinic, and they are pretty much out of options. Like, no other place will take her. And that's because she has burned bridges with so many people, so many foster parents, so many foster care people have tried to work with her, therapists, everybody, and they can't figure it out. They finally figure it out it's because she's schizophrenic. And she's not taking her medicine that's prescribed, so that naturally compounds the situation. She does end up getting attached to this one care worker, foster care worker, whatever the title actually is, Mika. Or Micah, I forget exactly how they pronounce it there, because since it's German, it means something different. And he sees something in her and wants to try to help her. He's helped people, and he sees the aggression that he grew up with. And it's implied that he may also be schizophrenic, but he takes medicine for it. But he's very good with her and sees that there is a good kid in there. But unfortunately, due to her own mother abandoning her because because Benny kept acting out and kept damaging things. There's this one earlier scene where she actually hits her mother with a statue in the back because she doesn't want to go away. She wants to live in her household. I mean, what kid wouldn't want to live with their parents? They wouldn't want to be uprooted from something like that. It's a very, I would say it's bleak. There are moments of happiness, but that this movie's not necessarily going to have the happiest ending, because since the kid's schizophrenic, she doesn't want to take her medicine. The system is doing what they can, but nobody wants to help her. She's kind of falling through the cracks of the system. And I will not speak as somebody that knows what it's like to deal with too many people that have schizophrenic issues. I dealt with a couple, but not to this degree. And this movie does dive well into that. Actually shows that there are good people in foster care systems and in child care systems that are trying to help. But every human being has their limit that they reach. And even as much as you're trying to help her, Benny's also got to do her part, and she's not. Yes, she is a 9-year-old girl, but her actions are causing massive reactions, and she is unable to maintain anything where she's in a foster care, any kind of home for a while. Anything she's in basically gets blown up because she gets out of control, and that just happens. The common thing is, I don't want to, well, but you're gonna. With her and Mika, he takes her out in the woods to a cabin that he has as a way to get her away from technology, get her away from this, maybe reset her brain, help her out and stuff like that. And it seems to work. But then, unfortunately, a lot of stuff just goes down. They do bond, and she bonds with some people, but there's always something bubbling below the surface. And the young actress who played Benny, played her very well, very well. I mean, and probably was exhausted playing her here, because this was a demanding role. And all the care workers basically talk about possibly sending her to Kenya, instead of Germany, with some, and I don't know what part of Germany. I don't recall finding out exactly where it was, but to Kenya with children like her, like another foster care system, send her far away, basically send her away to get her out of their hands and put her up with somebody else. And there are people who don't want to do that. Well, also her mother wants to bring her back even after that attack that I mentioned earlier, but then changes her mind, and that pretty much is the final straw for Benny. Benny's like, hey, you promised, why won't you take me back? She doesn't understand. Again, young mind developing, but also a mind that is fractured because of the mental illness that she has. And this movie does tackle mental illness really well. Easy for me to say. It ends up basically where, everything has been exhausted and she has to go to Kenya, but she runs through the airport because her system gets interrupted because she has a stuffed animal that she has with her. They want, the checkers want her put, the TSA agents want her to put that there, and she doesn't. She runs through the thing and just runs through the airport. And it runs on part of the concourse, or a thing that runs parallel, like it's a walkway, and then it, breaks. The glass breaks, And that's hence the System Crasher thing. And there's also, parts of the movie where they have like a lot of like, psychedelic colors where it's like an interpretation that she is going through a whole lot of issues. She's having episodes or whatever. It's a movie that is hard to watch at times because, especially if you've seen anybody like that. And by no means is it for everybody, but it definitely was quite good. Now, was it A grade material? Not quite. I do have some issues. I think that this movie could have been cut down a little bit, but it was overall a lot more positive than negative, and I'm going to say B plus for that. What Happened to Monday gets D. It gets a D. Anyway, but yeah, that's it for System Crasher. That's it for What Happened to Monday. Anyway, agreed. And I can't tell you how many times I tried not to say whatever happened to Monday. But anyway, agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.